In this video, we're going to go over the department workspace in Nuventive. We're going to be looking at all the sub-workspaces available under the departments and how to navigate those various workspaces. So once you log into Nuventive, use the center pull-down menu to find your department. In this case, I'm under social sciences. You should land on this home dashboard. Under the program menu, this is called the hamburger menu, you'll see the various workspaces available under a department. So we have the home or the dashboard, that's this page here that you automatically land on when you open a department area. We have the course assessment workspace, we have the course assessment column report, and the document library. We're first going to go over what's available on the department dashboard. So as you open the department workspace, you're going to see, in this case, this is for social sciences, you're going to see all the courses under that department. Now remember, course assessment is being done under the departments, not under the programs. So you should see all of the courses that your department is responsible for assessing. Not all the departments that, or excuse me, not all the courses that may be accessed, but all the courses that your department, particular department, is responsible for assessing. Under each course, you'll see the various outcomes, the student learning outcomes for each one of those courses. In case of history, you'll see that there's 5 student learning outcomes. You'll see the next column is the measures. This particular course, History 100, has 5 assessments. Each one of these have one measure. You may have multiple measures for an outcome. In this case, this particular course has 5 outcomes, and each one only has one measure. And then once you actually do some assessment and you want to add those results into Nuventive, it will show you the number of findings. And then once you also have the information, those final results available from your assessment, it will show you the number of students that were assessed, this number of students who met the target, and the percentage of students meeting the target. So this is the home dashboard. You'll also see on this home dashboard a small chart over here on the right that will show you the percentage of SLOs with findings. And what that means is the percentage of all the SLOs for all your courses that have actually been assessed. So if you just want to see a quick overview and say out of whatever, all the courses under this particular department, how many of those outcomes have actually been assessed and the findings have been added into Nuventive. And then you'll also have a chart down here. And the reason these are blank is because we're just starting out with Nuventive and there's not a lot of information added to it at this point. You'll also see a tab here that says the number of students meeting the target. So as you know, you have a course, you have an outcome, you have a measure assigned to it, and then you also have a target that you hope to achieve. And that's what this will show us, how many students met the target. You'll also see some filters up here. You can filter by the outcome status, whether it's active or inactive. You can filter by the planned assessment cycle. We're currently in the 21-24 cycle. When we move to the 24-27 cycle, you'll be able to filter out if you just want to look at one of those. Otherwise, it will show all. And then you can also look at reporting periods. And the reason why some of these are blank right now is because we just don't have any data into Nuventive at this point in time. The next thing you can see on this home dashboard is the ability to split screen, which I talked about in the introduction video. You can split it 75-25, where you have some area over here on the right. You can also split it 50-50 or 25-75 if you really want to see what's on the right panel a little bit more. We've added some links on the right panel or some documents depending on what workspace you're in. For the department homepage or dashboard, we've added the ability for you to also see a program review for social sciences. You can see the program review workspace, the goals and action items, the resource requests, and whether the dean has reviewed it or made any comments. This is really, right now, this is, like I said, this is, just really basic because we don't have a lot of information in here at this point in time. But if you're in your department workspace and you're looking at outcomes and you want to also look at program review, this is really helpful for chairs to look at information side by side without having to leave one workspace to work on the other or to view the other. So you can do some time, spend some time exploring the different views and what's in the column. We will be adding more things in that right column as we go along, either different additional links or actual PDFs or documents that programs or departments may need access to at some point in time. So this is the home dashboard, really easy to navigate. You can look at all your courses very quickly, make sure that you do have a measure assigned for each one of them. And if you can quickly see which courses or which outcomes have not been assessed if they don't have any findings, they haven't been assessed. Many of us will show zeros here because we didn't carry over any findings just yet. So you'll need to manually input those in. We've asked folks to kind of hold off on that and do that into Nuventive in the spring of 23. So as we add information, you'll see more of this populate. If you go back to the hamburger menu in the department, the next area is the course assessment area or workspace. So if I select that, it's going to open up this page. This page is the course assessment page, and what you'll see on here, some of the features, you can use this pull down menu to find any course that's assigned to your department for assessment. In this case, I'm just pulling up History 100. You'll also see you can look by outcome status, active or inactive. If you have some outcomes, if we're say a year from now or 2 years from now and you've made some of your outcomes inactive, you can see all of them, or you can just see the active ones or all of them. You can also look at when do I plan to assess these. We're going to assess, remember, all outcomes have to be assessed at least once during a cycle. So we could sort it by 2021. You could also sort by 2024 or 24-27, or you could just select and view all. So once we get more cycles in here, it'll be easy to go back and look and see what you want to do. So this is a multi-select field. And then you can also go over here and you can look at, so this is the cycle. Remember, we're on a 3-year cycle. What year and what semester did you plan to assess? And we'll talk about how the platform understands this or how it knows this based on when you actually add information to the outcome. So you can sort by, okay, I want to assess which ones do I want to assess in spring, which ones do I want to assess in fall, or do I just want to look at all of them? So if you're looking as a chair and you want to see, okay, these are all the outcomes for this particular course that need to be assessed this semester, very easy to use that filter. Another thing across the top here is this little section right here where it says showing 5 of 5. This tells you that for this particular course, History 100, there are 5 outcomes. And this is really interesting because as you go through and you click on each one of these areas, you'll know, am I in outcome 1? Am I in outcome 2 of 5, 3 of 5, and so on. So this is a basic navigation. We've uploaded all the outcomes for each course for you, but if you want to add a new outcome, you can select this plus sign over here, this green plus sign, and add a new outcome. These little sections right here where it says slow number 1, these are called cards. And there's a couple of ways you can open a card. You can double click it and it will open, or you can go over here on this little ellipsis and you can select open. So in this case, I'm opening slow number 1 for History 100. Now remember that you could, on the home page, you could look for a different course. Using the same pull down menu, I can also switch to a different outcome if I wanted to look at a different one under this particular course. So in the previous screen, I could look for different courses. In this screen, I can look for different outcomes under the course that I selected. So under the outcomes, one of the first things you're going to see is slow name. And in order to import our existing slows, we had to just name them slow 1, slow 2, slow 3. So one of the very first things you need to do is give each one of your slows a name. If you do not want to use slow number 2, you can quickly just edit this information and just give it a name, slow primary source evidence. And this may be a better way to go. Because if you have slow 1, slow 2, slow 3, and say you archive slow 3, then you're only going to see slow 1, slow 2, slow 4, and slow 5. So taking away that number is probably a good idea. So it may be something you want to do. Just name it a slow and whatever it is. And so I can go up here and I can save this if I want, but I'm not going to save it until we get some more information. The next thing you need to do is, so you've given it a brief name, is add a complete description. What is the slow? So in this case, students will be able to analyze and use primary sources. The next thing on this particular document is to Review the slow outcomes in Curriculum. Oftentimes, oh, there's a little spelling here, I have to have them fixed. Oftentimes what you'll see is the outcomes in curriculum may not match the current outcomes. And so we need to make sure that the outcomes in curriculum are accurate. So what you can do is select this pull down menu and it will tell you, please confirm that the department has reviewed the SLO listed in curriculum and verify its accuracy. If corrections are needed, you'll need to contact Shelley Hess at the district, and here's her email address. So I can select that and I can say reviewed and accurate or reviewed not accurate, update and process. And it's really important that you do this check one time. One of the beauties of Nuventive is you don't have to carry these SLOs over, these outcomes over from cycle to cycle or year to year. Once they're there, they're there. You can either hide them, make them inactive, but you don't need to always edit them unless you want to change something. So in this case, here's the outcome status. You can make it active or inactive. If, say, a year from now, we decide that this outcome is no longer needed, no longer relevant, then we could make this particular outcome active. We don't delete it, especially if it has findings attached to it. You wouldn't want to delete it. You want to make sure that it stays in the archives. So you'll be giving it a brief name, giving it a description, review it in curriculum. We've assigned all outcomes that were imported the status of active. So you want to make sure and review that. Are these indeed active? And then the next thing is you'll select a plan assessment cycle. We've assigned 21-24 to all the current outcomes. But as we go through the cycles, then you could select, okay, I'm also going to assess it in that year and maybe not that one. This is a multi-select field, and so you can have multiple cycles, but you only need to have one cycle at a time. And then this is where you'll assign what year and what semester I'm actually going to assess this particular outcome, in this case, SLO 2 for History 100. And what's nice about this is once you select when you're going to do this, then on that previous field, I can sort really quickly and say, oh, these are all the SLOs that I need to assess this semester. And it's really easy to find them and then schedule those. So once I'm done with this page, I have a couple of options. I can select Save, or I can select Save and Add New. I say I want to add a new SLO, or I can select Save and Close. Save and Close will take you back to this home screen. Go back there, where all the outcomes are showing. So you can do that. The first thing you need to do is go through each one of these outcomes in your particular courses. You can see that the title changed here as I changed it, and update all the information on those cards. So I'm going to open it, update the title. In this case, I'm going to take out the 1. I already have a good description. Has it been reviewed in curriculum? In this case, I reviewed them. It's active. When do I plan to assess this? I have to assess this semester, or excuse me, this cycle, because we're required to assess every outcome at least once during the cycle. I'm going to assess this particular one in spring of 23, and then I can select Save. And now I've saved it. And so let's go back. I can go Close, and I'm going to go back to all those outcomes. So I'm going to select outcome number 3. I'm going to give you an option where you can just double click it and it opens right up. I'm going to change the name. Have I reviewed it? Yes, I went and reviewed all of our outcomes in curriculum. Make sure you do that. This particular outcome is still active. I want to assess it in this cycle because I'm required to. And then I'm going to assess this one also in spring of 2023. And I'm going to save it. But this time I'm going to give you an example of moving on to the measure. So this is my outcome, SLO, continuity and change. This is my complete description. I've reviewed it in a curriculum. It's accurate. I only need to do that one time, at least once in the cycle, just to make sure that there's no errors in curriculum. It's active. I'm going to assess it this cycle, and I'm going to assess it this in spring of 2023. So after I've given some basic information about the outcome and when I'm going to assess it, my next step would be to go to the Measure tab. And you can select that. And here I say that this measure, how am I going to measure it? So I've added a measure of a direct exam. Now you may need to go in and add measures for your slows. We did bring some over when we could, but some outcomes may not have measures, but it's really easy to add. I can select add, and then I can give it what is the measure status. If it's a new measure, it's active. What is the method? Look at all the options that we've added here for you. Super easy. Indirect, direct. In this case, I will say this is an essay. I'll give some brief description about this. Continuity and change in history over time. And now I have a measure. I need to give it a target. So in this case, I'm going to say 50. My target will be 80% of the students who attempt this measure will achieve at least 85%. I'm going to give it a person responsible, myself. And if I wanted to, I could add some supporting documents. In the case here, if I wanted to add an example of the prompt, say, for this particular essay, I could add that here really easily. So you can do that. One interesting thing about this particular page is, so I have my slow here, and I have just a brief description of it. But if I go over here and I click Show Details, it will show me all the details for that particular slow. So I can see this area that's kind of a light green area. This outcome so I have my brief description, my full description, my planned assessment cycle if it's active, and then I can go do my measures and add any supporting documents. Then when I'm done, I can click Save, and then I can select Close. So now this particular outcome actually has two measures, which is fine. It's okay. You can have multiple measures if you want for an outcome. And we'll talk a little bit later about that, why you might want to do that. We'll discuss that in a different video, how you might want to do it. Maybe you change the measure. Maybe you want to measure multiple times in a semester, or measure one way in one semester and a different way in another semester, in order to do some disaggregation of information. Once you've actually administered your assessments and you have your actual results, you would then move to the Findings tab. And in this case, there's no findings have been entered because we haven't done these assessments yet. But if I was ready to do those findings, say had already, given the students the exam and I have the results, I can come over here and select the Add. And now I can go through and fill out my findings information. It's really easy to do. It will default to today's date, but you can just go through and you can select if you did the assessment last semester and it was your final, maybe you can change the date. You can do the reporting period, and this goes by academic year. You will add your CRN number for that particular course or courses. And then you'll say, did we meet the target or not meet the target? That's all we need to know. If you met it, that's great. You don't need to have like met, exceeded, because some of that stuff is really dependent on the person's understanding of what met, exceeded, not met means. So let's just make it simple for you. Either you met that target, and in this case of 80% of the students achieved 85%. And then you'll fill out the number of students assessed, the number of students who met the target, the percentage, which is just doing a little math, and then a summary of findings. This is a text message or a text field right here. You can add what you learned from those assessments. Maybe you learned that the online students did better than the on-campus students, or maybe you learned that on this particular exam, maybe one of the questions students didn't do as well on one question or did really great on another question. And so you would discuss, what did you learn from that assessment about that outcome? Are students learning what you were asking them to learn? In this case, you can actually add some graphs or tables if you'd like. And again, you can attach some documents. So once you have your findings, then what you can do is you're going to come back at the end of the cycle And you're going to, or whenever you do these findings, and add an action plan. So in this case, I looked at my action plan. Today's the date. What is my action plan? So I create my action plan. But then after the end of the cycle, the 3-year cycle, I'm going to come back here and give a status update on this particular action plan. In this case, I'm going to say my action plan is to revise the exam questions in order to infuse equity into the exam. And then, so this is my action plan. So I'm going to spend some time, the next time, maybe the next year, I'm going to redo this exam. And then I'll come back and I'll give a status update. Did I complete this action plan? Did I not start it? Or is it in progress? And then I can add some comments to the effect of that the findings increased. Let's see, the finding and success rate on the exam increased in the revised version. Something like that. You could add whatever you want. We didn't do it. This is why we didn't do it. Whatever it is that you want to do. And then again, you can click Save, or you could click Save and Close. Oh, I guess I missed a required field. That's what I wanted to show you, and I didn't do that, is any of the fields that have a little asterisk by it, like this field and this field, those are required fields. So I'm going to just back out of this because I don't want to save this information because we really haven't done the findings yet. So I'm back on the dashboard for the department. Again, I can go to the course assessment workspace. Here's my courses. I can pull all the courses from the pull down menu. I can filter them if I want once we get a little more information. And then I can go through, I'm going to go back to the history one I was playing around with. Remember, it says 5 of 5. I can open this card by double clicking or using that ellipsis. Fill out what my slow is. This is the very first thing you should do when you get into Nuventive. Add my measures. Remember, you can, same thing, you can double click or use the ellipsis. I have all my measures here ready to go. I can click Show Details to tell me everything about that outcome. I can close it. So I've added created my measures, and then I can add my findings and action plan. So it's really easy to navigate in Nuventive when it comes to course assessment. Play around with it. You know, you can just close it. You don't have to save it. You can save it. You can edit it. It's really easy to do. If I close this, like I said, I can just go here and go open it. And once it's open, I can edit it. So it's really easy to do. Remember that the outcomes, if you're going to change your outcomes, you need to also make sure that they're updated in Curriculum. So you update them first in Nuventive and then make sure they're updated in Curriculum. So that is really the course assessment workspace. I will come back in a different video and talk to you about the column report and the document library.